Hello, good afternoon, and a very warm welcome to live coverage of round 3 of the 2022 MotoGP eSport Global Series here from MotoGP HQ in Barcelona. It's Jack Appleyard and Jack Gorst with you as ever to talk you through all of tonight's action, and you definitely don't want to miss it because not only are we reaching the halfway stage of this longest ever championship, but our championship leader is in all kinds of trouble after qualifying yesterday, Jack.
Yeah, he certainly is. He's way down on the grid for both races coming up this evening. And this evening, speaking of that, we do go to Jerez and then the Red Bull Ring. And they're two tracks which are extremely tight indeed and often provide some of the closest racing we see in the Global Series. We've already had multiple winners, multiple different podium finishes too, and there's just a few more waiting to get there very first as well. But before we dive into tonight's action, let's take a look back to round 2 of the Global Series and what happened earlier on in the series.
So these were races 3 and 4 of this 2022 Global Series. We headed to Le Mans first of all, and as we've become accustomed to, lap 1 provided plenty of mishaps. In the end, both Adrian and Christian shortcutting the chicane. We later found out that that move there, where they just opened up a little bit of an advantage for the guys behind, was to make sure they didn't get a penalty. Smoothly done, but it did give the advantage to Trastevere, our 3-time champion, bouncing back in some style. Victory at our French grounds. From there, we headed to the iconic Cathedral of Speed at Assen.
Yeah, Assen, a place which always provides great racing. And look at this manoeuvre from Jack Hammer up the inside of Piero Ricciuti. Didn't quite work out that one. Over the grass through the fast right king. Certainly quite a brave manoeuvre indeed. Going late into the race though, Trastevere was running in second with these two battling behind him, Christian and Andrea Severi. But at the front, it was the man on the Repsol Honda, chased away with it. No one could beat him on the night. And Adrian picked up the second victory of the night at round 2.
It was a dominant performance by Adrian, and remember as well, slight change to the rules in 2022 that these events that are being held here virtually from Barcelona only qualify for half points. So, as a result, before we get into tonight's action, let's refresh your memory of exactly what the championship picture looks like ahead of races 5 and 6 of the 2022 Global Series.
So in the championship standings there, now you can see it at the state of play at the moment. Trastevere is on top with 60.5 points, just 6 back is Adrian, the man that picked up that second race victory last time out. And Andrea Severi, 10 points back in third. So certainly quite close between our 3 champions in the series at the moment.
It certainly is. Those top 3 just starting to break clear with Jack Hammer, Ricciuti and Christian MM17, all between 20 and 25 points adrift. Further back, we've got Vindex, Spadalongo, Mr. TFTW, Dark Bright and Tati Go, with Davide Galigni there as well. I make a point of Dark Bright because, unfortunately, the Red Bull KTM Tech Twat man has taken a step aside. He won't be with us for the final 3 rounds of 2022, meaning that we welcome for the very first time debutant Hugh Mastru jumping on board that machine. So best of luck to the Italian ahead of his debut later on. And talking of his debut, it's only a matter of moments away. Race 5 from the iconic Circuito de Jerez, Angel Nieto, and here's all the vital information you need ahead of that one.
So then, race 5 for the 2022 Global Series. We're heading to the Circuito de Jerez Angel Nieto. As Jack said, a fantastic place, one that's a fan favourite and rider favourite alike. Been on the Grand Prix calendar for many years indeed. You can see there are all the important rules that you need to know. Those things to watch out for: tyre and fuel consumption, proportionate, and penalty damage is strict as well. Looking at the circuit itself, then, it's certainly a tight and twisty one. Only 4.4 kilometres in length. 8 right turns, and then we flip over to the left. There's quite a number of turns here, but certainly less left turns. 5 of those. Watch out for the final corner, Jorge Lorenzo, turn 13, exactly where the long lap penalty area is as well. That's certainly going to be an overtaking hotspot to watch out for, but around Jerez, well, there's quite a few. Certainly down to zone 2 there, you see as well, turn 6, Danny Pedrosa corner, formerly known as the dry sack corner. And really, those are the areas you need to watch out for. And in just a few seconds, we'll be seeing the race in action as well.
Yeah, certainly Jerez, a classic circuit. Many MotoGP moments down the years. Are we going to see yet another MotoGP eSport moment? As we said, the World Championship leader is in all kinds of trouble. He's got a mountain to climb as Trastevere. Can his rivals cash in? Let's find out as we go racing in Jerez. Welcome along then to the Andalusian circuit. Slightly overcast, which we're not particularly accustomed to. Normally, the sun absolutely beating down on Jerez. And here is the all-important grid then ahead of race 5 of the Global Series. And it's the LCR Honda of Christian MM17 on pole, and of his brother, Adrian, with the front row completed by Andrea Severi on the Suzuki.
Second row then, this is the place where you will eventually find Trastevere, but first it is Piero Ricciuti, number 4, in 4th spot, I do say. Jack Hammer, 5th on the KTM, certainly another good qualifier from him. And there is the championship leader at the moment, the 3-time champ Trastevere. 6th, not terrible, but certainly further back than he wants to be.
Work to do. Good performance, though, for Tati Go, the Indonesian, on the Grassini machine ahead of Spadalongo, another Ducati with the R46, and Vindex, the Italian, back in 9th.
And rounds out on the grid then, on the Aprilia, it is Davide Galigni. You can see him there. He's actually got quite good pace. Watch out for him surging through. In 11th place, it is Mr. T, the Australian, on the Pramac Ducati. And then rounding us out, it is our brand new debutant, Hugh Mastru. Not Dark Bright, Hugh Mastru on the Tech 3 KTM.
10 laps ahead of us then. It's 2 wins for Adrian, 2 wins for Trast in 2022 so far. Can someone else get in on the act? We're about to find out. It looks like a cracking start by the LCR Honda man Christian from pole position. He's surely going to take the whole shot, which he does. Severi manages to squeeze through to take second away from Adrian. And where's our championship leader, Trast? He looks to have been bogged down there. He hasn't made any progress whatsoever. 6th spot for the championship leader through the opening sector.
Yeah, it looked like he just got caught on the inside there going through turn 2. Uvastru's unfortunately gone down, so lap 1 of his eSport career has not gone to plan at all. He's already 5 seconds off the back of these lot. But coming through turn 5 then, we've gone through the first split already. It is going to be Christian. We're looking at almost a 4/10 lead already. He's streaking away early on that LCR Honda.
The perfect start for the LCR Honda man. He managed to take the hold shot from pole position. Has he just gone ever so slightly wide there? I think he has. He's lost the 10 for 2 to Severi. Meanwhile, disaster for this man. The 2020 World Champion started from second on the grid. We're so used to him firing through on the opening lap of races, but he's lost ground here. Down to 4th already is a Repsol Honda rider.
Yeah, certainly not the best start in the world then for the Repsol Honda rider. Adrian looks as though Jack Hammer's just gone a little bit wide. Will Trastevere dive up the inside? No, he doesn't. Leaves it there at turn 10. He's going to try and get a run now. We go through some really quick, fast right turns here. He's got to build the speed all the way. Watch him coming into Jorge Lorenzo corner. The final one at turn 13. Will he look to the inside of the KTM? Surely he will, but Jack Hammer covers the line late on the brakes, gets it stopped and stays ahead just for now.
Further ahead though, moving the podium places, Piero Ricciuti found a way through on Severi, but couldn't get it stopped through Lorenzo corner, ran wide, and that allowed Severi back through. Meanwhile, in the back of the shot, there goes the champion. Up ahead of Jack Hammer now. He's got the job done at turn number 1, and it's 5th spot for Trast.
So he's got just under half a second up to the Repsol Honda of Adrian in front of him. And I tell you what, that is going to be difficult to close down indeed. You may think not, but in eSport, half a second is quite a buffer, to be honest. Although it does look as though Adrian's just made a slight mistake there. Not too sure what happened, but he's now 7/10 off the back of Piero Ricciuti in 3rd.
These top 3 are just starting to break away. Mistake there by Severi in the background, giving Christian just a little bit more breathing room at the front. But Ricciuti, we've already seen him make a move on the Suzuki man once already. And you've got to say, now that he's closed in on the rear wheel, he's going to be looking for another move as soon as possible. Remember, all 3 of the guys sat 1st, 2nd and 3rd at the moment are yet to pick up a win in 2022. So plenty on the line for our top 3 at the moment.
Yeah, certainly plenty is. And this is this big 6 we're talking about, isn't it, Jack? These guys at the front, Christian, Andrea Severi, Piero Ricciuti, Adrian Trastevere and Jack Hammer. These are the top guys in 2022 that have really been a cut above the rest. They've been the cream of the crop, and these lot are looking to stretch it away as well, as though Spanalongo's just hanging on. Looks as though he's got the hooks in, but falling back just by a 10th or so every now and then here.
I did think that once Trast got through on Jack Hammer, he would just start to pull a bit of a gap and close in on Adrian ahead, but in fact it's been the opposite. Jack Hammer was putting him under all kinds of pressure there through that final sector. I thought for a second he was going to look for a move up the inside. He's going to look here though. It's a late apex that Trast is taking, manages to cover it off in the end. Meanwhile, at the front, you'll be able to see there, fastest lap of the race going the way of Severi in 2nd. That gap has stayed pretty equal though, at just over 3/10 of a second. So far, we've now 2 laps completed, sorry, onto our 3rd lap. Christian has had it under control so far.
There you can see then the steely gaze of Trastevere, the 3-time champion here in MotoGP eSport Global Series. Took a quick look over to the timing tower just to see what the situation was behind him, and it looks as though, to be honest, he's not got too much pressure from Jack behind him, but he can't afford to let up at all because he will be all over him. I'll tell you one man that will be quite happy with the scenario at the minute, that is Andrea Severi. He's 3rd in this title chase, 10 points off the lead, that man you see in your picture there, and being ahead of those 2 ahead of him, then he's certainly going to be very happy if he can pick up the win here.
Yeah, he certainly will be. I would have to say at the moment, obviously a long way to go. Trast will be delighted as well that it's Adrian ahead of him. Remember, as we said at the top of the show, only half points available in these virtual rounds, meaning that from 4th to 5th, usually we'd look at 13 to 11 points. Now, we're looking at just a 1-point difference between the 2. So that 6-point lead will reduce to 5 if things stay as they are. Meanwhile, as you rightly point out, Severi the big winner here, and that he's going to close in that 10-point gap from, what will it be, a good 4.5 points, I would say.
Something like that.
Working it out on the top of my head, 20 to 11. Yeah, 9 is the usual difference, down to 4.5. So that would be...
we can test your maths later, Jack, after the race. figure out if it's correct.
Let's see. I'm pretty
Tell you
confident
what,
there.
look at that fastest lap from Jack Hammer. He looked
Wow.
like he was getting impatient behind Trastevere there, and he still is all over him. Less than a tenth behind the number 73 on the Yamaha. Jack Hammer, he's running it in hot into these corners, and look at this. Is he going to get a run down the straight? Little bit of slipstream, pulls out into the inside, does have a look at it, but decides not to in the end. Trastevere, oh, that's gone wide from Adrian. Will Trastevere get up the inside? No, he does not. So, still holding stations as we are.
Meanwhile, at the front, though, Christian is just starting to check out here. His advantage has doubled on this lap alone. He's gone from 0.3 of a second all the way up to nearly 0.7 now. The LCR Honda man, as we said, yet to pick up a win in 2022. I think it's probably a fair assessment to call him the bridesmaid throughout the course of the MotoGP eSport Championship. Has always had to play second fiddle to either his brother Adrian or Trast as well. He is a long way out of the championship picture at the moment, currently sat down in 6th spot, but this will do his championship hopes the whole world of good. It's a long ask to ask for him to get back into the fight, but this is the first step towards doing that if things can hang on.
Yeah, it certainly is, and as we know, Jack, as well, for race 2 coming up this evening, race 6 of the Global Series, he's up there on the grid as well, so set up perfectly. I tell you what though, just as we say he was pulling away, this gap has come down quite significantly. It's now down to 0.3 once more, so it's just swinging to and fro in between these two. Andrea Severi, he'll be quite happy to sit here in second for now. There's still 5 laps to go, but we do know he's going to have to pile on the pressure at some point, and maybe this is it just being poured on right now.
Yeah, I do wonder whilst we were looking at that 5th, 4th and 5th, whether Christian just made a bit of an error out of the picture. Has allowed Severi to get as close as he has been all race. Under 0.2 now. Harding towards Pedrosa corner, and again he's taking so much curb on the inside is Andreas Severi. Brilliant line through there, and effective as well. Meanwhile, just a little bit of housekeeping. You'll be able to see long lap penalty has been handed to Mr. TFTW, our resident Aussie. Not particularly sure why. I doubt it's track limits after only 4 laps completed, so maybe the crash we saw from Hugh Mastro potentially just had a little guess. Mr. TFTW had some sort of a hand in that one.
I was just about to point out that Kira Ricciuti is all over the back of Adrian, but our director's caught it lovely here. Actually, that's been a switch of position. We missed that one. Not too sure where that one happened. We weren't keeping our eyes open for that, but whoa, look at that. Going defensive down into Jorge Lorenzo. Ooh. And now this is causing this whole group to back up. Oh, look at that. Bumping on the way out to turn 13. Will Ricciuti look to the inside? We know he loves a little bit of a late braking manoeuvre. He does look to the inside. Is he going to stick it in there? Whoa, not quite. Just gets his nose wiped by the Repsol Honda of Adrian.
He did fancy it, did the wild child. He was very much lining up a move there, and we know him pretty well over the past couple of years of action in eSports, and normally
he goes for it.
He does, he does. He's not backwards in coming forwards, is Ricciuti, on a lot of occasions. I'm surprised he's like, oh, there he goes, wow. There. Mistake for Adrian. He goes high, wide, and handsome.
All the way into the gravel.
He's in the gravel, he's down! Well, Adrian has crashed out, and suddenly Trastevere will be putting his hands together and rubbing them gleefully, because despite a dreadful qualifying position, a mistake from Adrian has put the championship picture back into his hands. Can you believe it? That is so unusual for Adrian, usually so consistent. A very rare and costly error coming from the Repsol Honda man.
Hugely costly. Right you are, Jack. The man that never ever blinks has finally blinked. That's probably the first mistake we've seen him make in, what, over a year? That's incredible drama for Adrian. And it does mean that what's he going to lose now from Trastevere in 4th place? He's going to lose a good 7 or 8 points. There we go. We can see the live championship now. He's going to slip to 10 back. Now, that's not a massive gap. But with these points in these online rounds, only count for half points, it's going to be a lot harder to close in that 10-point gap than you might think. So certainly Adrian, he really does have the work up against him now.
And an error of all his own doing as well. Yeah. We've seen it plenty of times on the opening lap. You can get caught up in other people's incident, but that was Adrian making an error of his own doing. Can you believe it? Dropped him all the way down to 11th. We said at the top of the show, the championship will see some momentum swings tonight. I must say, I didn't expect it to go the way of Trast. Suddenly, if things stay as they are, he's going to extend his championship lead, only by half a point, but still you'd have taken good odds on that, given the fact he was starting from the back of the second row.
But this is what we say about Trastevere, isn't it? Whenever everything's stacked against him, he just seems to be able to remain calm, stay out of the drama, stay out of the commotion, and just pull in the results he needs. Although, look at this again, Jack Hammer's looking down the inside. He's just there, but isn't quite able to get that extra couple of metres and lunge down the inside. So certainly these two absolutely on the limit to be able to keep this pace up.
Is he going to be lining up a move into
he's
the
gone
final
wide. This
corner?
might be it now. This might be it.
They do have to flick right, though, so he's going to have the inside line as we come into the stadium section. Trash should have it covered. A tighter line, though.
Is he going to cut under the inside?
Can he manage to get it on the cutback? Here comes Jack Hammer squeezing through.
Lovely
the sprint
move.
has got it done. The elbows are out, and he finally manages to edge his way past Trastevere. Brilliant stuff from the KTM rider, but Trast isn't throwing in the towel. He's going to come back. Can he manage to squeeze back through as we go in towards the final corner? I don't think he can. Brilliant stuff from Jack Hammer as he moves himself up to 4th.
Awesome move then from Jack, and crucially that also means that Trastevere will lose another point. So Adrian, the man that's just seen all those points slip away from him, suddenly regains one more. So back to 9 back. Trastevere will be kicking himself for that. Well, it has been a move that's been coming. The last few laps we've seen Jack Hammer be the fastest man on track and put in all that pressure on, but it does seem as though finally there has been a release and he is free.
Yeah, great stuff. Brilliant from Jack Hammer. Fastest lap of the race as well. And I think he'll just be cursing himself that his qualifying didn't allow him to get up into the fight for the podium a little bit earlier. But as you can see, he's got through and he's already checking out. Half a second he's managed to put into Trast.
Speaking of checking out.
In less than half a lap, yep, at the front. Last time we checked in, Severi was applying some pressure and had closed in. But that gap now nearly at a second. This looks like, not wanting to curse it, with 2.5 laps remaining, it could well be victory for the first time this year for the LCR Honda man of Christian MM17, and a deserved one as well.
Yeah, it will be a real turn up for the books that for Christian. But just going back to Jack Hammer in 4th place, looks as though he's actually made a little mistake and lost some time to Piero Ricciuti in 3rd. But this is what we say so often about Jack, isn't it? He's got the pace, he's got the racecraft. It just seems that when it comes to qualifying, he can't quite find that final temp he needs to get on the front row. And it always leads to this exact sort of thing, making late manoeuvres, pushing the limits, and trying to pick up those little points when really we know that he's got the pace to pick up the big points.
Here's Vindex then. We'll just have a look at the gamers further down the field. The With You RNF Yamaha man 6 at the moment. Good performance from him. Of course, a multiple Rising Stars champion, making his bow in the series this year. Spadalongo 7th, Tatigo 8th. A crash for Mr. TFTW has allowed Adrian to move through to what is a lonely 9th place at the moment. Aprilia Davide Bellini there in 10th, with Mr. T on the Pramac machine in 11th, yet to take that long lap penalty. I think he's going to be getting... oh no, he has taken it. There we go, right on cue. Good work, Mr. T. With you, Mastru, our debutant, rounding out the field at the moment. So good stuff coming from him. To be, you know, in contention, it's very difficult to come into the Global Series at any stage, never mind halfway through when these guys have been honing their skills for half a year.
Plus, it was a bit of a false start for his first lap as well. Had that incident on lap 1, I'm sure that it was through no fault of his own. Just a little bit of bumping and barging. It happens on the first lap in eSport. We know this is a video game at the end of the day. Stuff happens on the first lap and people go down. Now, when we were just running through, actually, you really do have to highlight Vindex. That's a cracking ride that he's put in, because he was behind Spadalongo and I believe Tatigo as well. And as soon as he's got through, he's pulled a gap on those guys. So it makes you wonder if Vindex actually had the pace, if he'd got away at the start, to run with this lead group.
Well, he's been working closely with our 3-time champion Trast for a number of years. He was his understudy at the factory Yamaha squad, the reserve rider there for a couple of years. He's finally got his opportunity in the satellite Yamaha squad. So he's been training with the best, he's been riding with the best, and he's showing that he can keep up with the best pretty much. On to the final lap then. 6/10 is Christian's advantage. He just needs to keep it nice and smooth, flicking off every apex as he then flicks left here. Good stuff so far, keeping in track limits, which he has done throughout the entirety of the race. So far, with half a lap to go, it's been picture perfect for Christian.
Yeah, it certainly has, and this is the sort of thing we've seen from Christian, slowly been building throughout the year. He started off the year a little bit kind of some mistakes and some bad luck, but then in the last round, particularly in the second race in Assen, picked up a cracking 4th place and was right there to the end, pushing Andrea Severi for that 3rd place. and now this is what he can do when he gets to start and qualifies well. So we're seeing that if this man can suddenly go on a string of form, should I say, this is what we can prove that he can do.
In towards the stadium section for the final time. The Spanish fans, I'm sure even in virtual form, will be making plenty of noise, cheering him through. This is what they came to see, a Spaniard on the top step of the podium on home soil. And it looks as though, despite Severi closing in just a fraction, he's got it under control. Through the penultimate corner, down we head towards Lorenzo for the very last time. He's not even been on the podium this year. And now he's going to come across the line momentarily to celebrate a first win of 2022. Christian MM17 converts pole for his first win of the year, and a brilliant one at that as well. Further behind, Severi back on the podium with Piero Ricciuti in third. Jack Hammer gets a brilliant performance to squeeze his way through. Oh, was that as he came across the line? I think it was. Yeah, he does confirm his spot in fourth ahead of Trask. But the big story is that of the Repsol Honda man, the 2020 World Champion. We said an unusual, a rare, but very, very costly mistake sees him lose ground in the championship, coming across the line in ninth.
Yeah, hugely costly that is for Adrian there. Ninth, and he's going to lose a handful of points. We believe he'll be about 8 back, but we'll check those after the race results we're about to see here. Just waiting for the director to approve them. And there we go then. Christian MM17, first win of the year for the LCR Honda band. Congratulations to him. Andrea Severi, though, he is going to be the happiest of the bunch. Closes in on that championship lead with his rivals, Trastevere finishing 5th and Adrian down in 9th, as we said. Piero Ricciuti then 3rd, cracking job from him. Finally getting his form together in 2022. Jack Hammer 4th, with the fastest lap of the race as well. Then Vindex in 6th, good ride from that man. Tati go, Spadalongo, Adrian there, as we've said, in 9th. Davide Galinia, Mr. T, and our debutant, Mr. U Mastru, rounding us out in 12th.
Well, a fascinating way to kick off round 3 of the Global Series. So many stories in that one, Jack, but we'll start with the headline. I've just been checking my notes then, and I'm sure that Christian will tell us. A first win since 2020. It's been quite the wait, but Christian, please tell us, was it worth it?
Hello everyone. I am really happy because I did the pole position yesterday, and now I have the victory. The race in this track is also really difficult because, especially in this game, it's really easy to crash with the curves. So I have to be careful, try to make a gap in the beginning, and then try to avoid the cars. So I am really happy for the victory, and also I want to say thanks to LCR Honda because they support me a lot, and also to Pro2B for giving me the opportunity to be in this team. Thank you to all.
Many congratulations, Christian. A well-deserved victory, and as you rightly say as well, starting from pole position for our next race at the Red Bull Ring in just a few moments' time. He mentioned off camera to his brother, just reflecting on the race, that he had a bit of a moment on turn 4, nearly crashed out. We saw Marc Marquez obviously have a big moment when we went there in real life, and it looks as though a fellow HRC man had to pull off a similarly impressive save. But that was the big moment of the race, Jack. Adrian, an uncharacteristic error, a strange crash. I mean, what do we think happened there?
Yeah, not too sure really. It looked like he just run in a little bit deep, kind of maybe took the front and then picked it up, and then, I don't know, got on the gas and the rear came round. But this was some cracking action late in the race. Lap 7, where Jack Hammer trading lines here with Trastevere. Looked like Trastevere for a second was maybe going to run it in around the outside, but no, Jack Hammer finally got the move done. They were side by side for about 4 corners before eventually nicking the place off Trastevere. But no one can stop this man out front. Lights the flag from pole position to P1. A fantastic performance in the opening race of here tonight.
Yes, certainly was. Great way to kick off the evening for the LCR Honda man. He'll be hoping that can kickstart a bit of a championship charge. In terms of the championship, Trask has had his lead cut by only half a point. 5.5 now the difference between him and Andrea Severi, but that could change all over again as we head to the Red Bull Ring. Before that one, let's take a look at all the important information you need to know.
So the Red Bull Ring then, certainly a tricky track. One of the faster ones and also quite a variation of types and corners, speeds and all that lovely stuff. We know that in real life it can catch us out with the rain, comes in whenever it wants to, but no such worry here. Lovely dry conditions for us as we head to Austria for race 6 of the Global Series. You can see there the usual rules still apply. As to the circuit itself then, we'll see that very momentarily. A few new additions, of course, this year with the 2A, 2B chicane, but 4.3 kilometres, kind of an average length for 8 right turns and then also 3 left turns. Not so many. The right side of the tyre around here takes a real bit of beating, particularly up through turns 4 and 5 as well. Lots of spinning up through there. There you can see then the new 2A, 2B chicane. In real life, we saw that it turned into a little bit of an overtaking hotspot. So watch out there. I'm sure that there'll be a little bit of chaos on lap 1 as we have all 12 of our eSport riders flying down there into the opening lap. But that really is all you need to know for the Red Bull Ring. And very, very shortly indeed, we'll be diving right into the racing action.
It certainly will be. You might think that 8.8 turns was a mistake from Jack there, but I can promise you it wasn't, because these guys will be going so wide, so handsome at the opening corner on lap 1. They pretty much will make it 8.8 turns to the right. So keep your eye on that one. We've spoken about the fact that Trastevere had a mountain to climb in race 1. Well, he only went and did it, but this time around, he's got Everest to climb. 8th on the grid. Uncharacteristically dreadful qualifying from the champion. Can his rivals cash in this time around? Let's find out then as we go racing for the last time tonight at the Red Bull. So welcome to the Red Bull Ring. Strap yourselves in, because lap 1 is going to be dramatic. Not only have we got turns 1 and 3, but we've now got the chicane of 2A and B as well. And once again, starting from pole is Christian, ahead of brother Adrian, looking to bounce back, and the factory Ducati of the wild child, Piero Ricciuti.
Andrea Severi then starts 4th, looking to capitalise on the good race he's had already this evening. Jack Hammer's 5th. He's got a slightly better starting position this time round, and Vindex, a great qualifying from him on the RNF Yamaha in 6th.
Fronting row 3 is Tatigo, the Indonesian, and take a look at this. It's a collector's item. Back on the middle of row 3, the world champion Trast. Joining him on row 3 is Mr. T.
And rounds out then our final 3 runners. Once again, Davide Galigna heads off from 10th on the Aprilia and finishes out Spadalongo on the VR46 machine, with our debutant this year, UMass Drew, joining us on the Tech 3 KTM.
So here we go then. Keep your eye. You can barely see him on the 73 on the factory Yamaha, back on row number 3. Starting again from pole, and again getting a brilliant start is Christian on the LCR Honda. He's going to take the whole shot, there's no doubt about that. Trast looking to go the long way round. He's managed to recover a handful of places. High, wide and handsome as we expected. Those are the first of your 8.8 right turns, and Spadalongo is firing through into the chicane for the first time. Oh, 3 into there isn't going to go, but somehow Trast makes it work. What a start from the world champion. 8th on the grid, and he's already up to 5th.
So he's barged his way through and up 3 positions already. Jack Hammer's slipped down 1, so that's certainly not ideal for him. We see late in the race earlier on this evening that he had great pace, but look at this again. Christian getting off to a flyer, pulling out almost 4 tenths once more, and it seems as though he's got his brother Adrian behind him and Piero Ricciuti flying on, trying to keep taps.
Wide though was Ricciuti there. He's lost a little bit of ground on Adrian ahead of him. Meanwhile, we'll keep our eye and our focus on Trast, because once again he's got company from Jack Hammer. Those two have been inseparable tonight. The Yamaha versus the KTM. They're going to go at it once again here at the Red Bull Ring.
Here we go then, brother versus brother. This one's going to be a big one in the Montenegro household. These two going for the same World Championship, and Christian really needs to make up these points. Adrian's ahead of him, and this is certainly going to be a tricky one as we go on through the rest of these 9 laps.
Good start this from Mr. T, actually. We've spoken about the big 6 in this championship. Mr. T currently the best of the rest, the Australian up in 7th. Good start for him. Meanwhile, here comes Jack Hammer, moves to the inside. Can he get the job done onto the brakes into turn 1? No, he can't. No, he can't. He stays 6th, and Trast holds on to fifth.
Such a tricky one, that turn one. It tightens up so much on the exit. They've got to make sure they don't run it too far because there are track limits out there, and our guys in the gallery, the race directors, will be keeping an eye for if they stray onto the green. But as we go through the 2A2B chicane once more, then, oh, look at this great run from Jackhammer up into turn 3. Is he going to stick it on the inside? He does. Can he get it pulled down to the apex? Lovely stuff. Watch for Trastevere on the cutback. Is he going to be able to get the drive? It doesn't seem it is. Look at that then, Jackhammer already through. Now we'll be able to see if he's got the pace to catch up to those guys.
Oh, here's Trast. He's come out of nowhere there, but he was way too far back. An inch-perfect move that was from Jackhammer. It looked as though as soon as he released the brakes, he was going to run wide, but somehow he managed to keep it stopped, clip off the apex, get it onto the fat part of the tyre, and he's held onto it. 5th spot for Jackhammer. He made that look like light work.
He did, yeah, lovely move. Wasn't expecting it that early in the race. We saw Jackhammer really struggle to get past Trastevere last time in Jerez, really having to force the issue and move him off the line last time, but certainly this time much easier indeed. Oh, that's a shame there for Piero Ricciuti. Just lost a little bit of ground to Adrian, as though he was looking like he was maybe going to set up a move coming down now onto the home straight as they head down to turn 1. So 2 laps down already, and it looks as though Christian, fastest lap of the race to him, but then it's taken over by Piero Ricciuti. So the man on the Ducati is the man on the move.
You can see Adrian there. I do love that. As soon as they get onto the start-finish straight, you can see his eyes glancing to the right. Just looking at the timing screen on the right of your, well, the right of his picture, the left of your picture at home, just working out who's where, what the current situation is in this race, and he'll know that he had a pit board across the line, a virtual one, of around plus 0.2, which is not exactly what you want. Takes an interesting line there out of turn 3, swerving out to the left-hand side before then coming back across right, back left once more before braking hard down into turn 4. Downhill that is one of the trickiest places to get the bike stopped. Never mind on the here at the Red Bull Ring, but on the eSport calendar, it's very difficult braking zone.
Look at this. Look in the background. 6th place, Trastevere is actually losing touch now to these top. That's a shame for Mr. T, running strongly in 7th. Huge shame then for the Australian. Looks as though that was going to be one of his best rides of the year, and that has gone out the window here, unfortunately for that man. But just as we say, Trastevere looks as though he's losing touch with these top 5.
He is. He's what, 3/4 of a second adrift of Jackhammer with only 2 laps completed. He looks as though he's struggling to climb Everest
here.
That.
He's wide again. As well. Someone's really wide. That's Davide Gallinia out on the berm. So all the way out there and on the Aprilia, should I say. Looks as though he's going to lose a couple of places. Might try to dive back up the inside of Spada Longo into turn 1, but to no such avail. But yeah, Trastevere, this is not what we expected. He made a bright start. We thought, here we go, he's going to rocket up the order. But it's turned out to be the opposite. He's almost a second behind Jackhammer now.
Doesn't look comfortable at all, does he? He's struggling to get the bike stopped. He's struggling to keep touch with the top 5 ahead. As Mr. T goes down again, a second crash for him. It made such a good start. What a shame for our likeable Aussie. I think we need to draw attention to this man, actually, because, yes, Trastevere is struggling, but Jackhammer has got electric pace here. He's got rid of the Italian behind, and he's quickly closed in on the factory Suzuki ahead of him. Good stuff, this from the Brit.
Well, we said it in the first race, didn't we? If he could only qualify better, we know he's got the pace in the race to be able to come through these guys and close gaps down. And once again, he's doing it here. It's now almost under 3 tenths to Andrea Sederi in front of him. There you can see the live championship on the right. It's going to be a big shift. 3 points, 4 points covering the top 3. And then Christian, look at that. He was 25 back at the start of the evening, wasn't he?
25.5 back.
Now he's only going to be 11, so it is tightening up here. Yeah, Ricciuti's only 14 back as well. Lovely stuff. This is what we want to see as we're halfway through this race now.
Me and Jack are rubbing our hands together, but that will change once more again. You can see the quick change there as Piero Ricciuti gets ahead of Adrian. Adrian will look to fight back though, and that's an important move from Adrian to make sure that he's 3 points adrift rather than 5, even at this early stage. Those 2 points could be absolutely vital. Ricciuti's wide. He's on the grass. He's hit the advertising hoardings, and he's gone down. A big mistake from the factory Ducati man. Looking at another podium, but it's all gone up in smoke.
My lord, what a blunder that is. Just as we were saying, he was coming into championship contention. He now drops out of the top 5 in the championship. That is a huge error from Piero Ricciuti, the wild child on the Ducati. Oh my lord, I can't believe they absolutely nailed the advertising board.
Goodness gracious me, he was lucky to not collect anyone else in that incident, because that Desma Sadici went absolutely flying.
Turned into a pogo stick.
He certainly did. And as a result, despite the fastest lap of the race, despite having moved up to second, he's now all the way down in 11th.
When have we ever seen someone just walk off into the distance ahead of Adrian? I honestly can't remember the last time that Adrian was in second early on, chasing down the leader, and then the leader has gone, okay, no problem, and just pulled a second on him. I do not remember the last time this has happened, but what it does mean is Christian number 17 is really finding his form here in 2022. If he can pick up the double tonight, well, confidence on as there Christian Adrian goes wide. Will that open the door for Andreas Severi? No, it doesn't look like it. Well, he actually picked up a small advantage there. We'll have to keep a check on that one. Does get to track limits award, and of course, our guys in the gallery keeping their beady eyes on them.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, Jack, making a point of how comfortable Christian is making this look. 4-5 races now so far this year, and 2 of them have been won by over a second advantage, but 1.3 seconds the advantage in Assen, just over a second at Jerez earlier on, but he's already nearly 1.5 clear. Meanwhile, change for the podium places. He's on a charge as the Red Bull factory KTM man on home soil. He's got that added bit of extra motivation, and he's putting it to good use. Jackhammer up to third, but for how long? Oh, I thought Severi was going to lunge up the inside there. For a second, I think if it was the last lap, he probably would have gone for it, but he thought better of it, and Jackhammer holds on to third.
So once again then, another lovely move from Jackhammer. The young Brit has got the bit between his teeth. What's he got now? He's got 0.8 up to Adrian. We know that Adrian hasn't quite got the pace of Christian in front of him. So if Jackhammer can keep putting in those laps, we may well see this close up. In a second place for Jackhammer. What's he back now? 17 back now. Once again, here's another contender into the championship race.
It certainly is. It's closing up quite nicely. The big loser. I still can't believe that mistake from Ricciuti.
He's got very deep.
Wide. Surely this is going to allow Severi to come back on him. But again, it looks as though he definitely managed to pull out a couple of bike lengths. He does get the track limits warning, but I'm not sure whether those guys maybe just need a word in the rear at the end of this one, because look at him, he's actually closed in on Adrian. So I wouldn't be too pleased if I was Severi. He's wide again.
Piero's gone down again.
Bad to worse for the Ducati man. Can you believe it? The wild child. Well, he's lost his rag. His composure has gone. He's crashed out for the second time. And if he's not careful, Mr. T's closing in, and Mr. T could be getting ahead of him, and he'll be dead last.
Tell you what, Jack, just noticed here, round of applause for you, Mastru, the debutant this evening on the Tech 3 KTM. Only his second race in the Global Series, and he's running very strongly indeed in 9th. So brilliant stuff from that man, stepping in a late call-up after Dark Bright decided to stop this year in the Global Series. So you, Mastru, well done indeed.
I tell you what, the storyline just to keep your eye on as well, Vindex just bit by bit closing in on Trast ahead of him. It would be some tale if the apprentice was able to get ahead of the master and take even more points off of him. So keep our eye on that one. It's just hovering at over a second at the moment. Across the line, Christian goes, still looking extremely comfortable. What an evening this has been for him so far. We put 10 perfect back. No, let me rephrase that. He put 11 perfect laps together at Jerez by taking pole position. He put another perfect lap together at the Red Bull Ring yesterday to take another pole position. And so far, he's completed 7 perfect laps. He just needs 2.5 more to double victory.
Yes, certainly looking though, it's just coming easy to him at the minute, isn't it? He's found the form. This is one of those gaming sessions where it's just all clicking for Christian on the LCR Honda. And just as we're looking about what Jackhammer was going to do, it does look as though actually Andreas Severi is just kind of regrouped and is starting to apply the pressure onto him again. Here's Trastaveri then, certainly not closing in at all. That gap was about 1.2 a lap ago, and it's gone up, if anything. It's up to 1.4, almost 1.5 now. So any charge that Trastaveri was going to put on looks as though it's not coming.
Yep, 5th at best it looks like. For the factory Yamaha man today, a pair of 5th places, to be fair, having started 6th and 8th on the grid.
It's not a bad recovery.
Damage limitation, you know, I don't think he'll be too disappointed. His championship lead has been cut, but I'm sure... Oh, no! Jackhammer's gone down! down. Oh, big mistake from the Brit. He was charging through to get himself up onto the podium, and the front end folds. Can you believe it?
Such a tricky corner there into turn 9. The front is so loaded going in. You've got to throw it in. The rear's light, it's bouncing all over the place, and it just cried no more. But what it does do, as we cut on board with him, it promotes the span up one more position. So that's another little bump of points for Trastevere. He picks up one more over his advantage that he did have. 4-point buffer that could prove crucial.
Oh, Jack Hammer will be inconsolable.
Spitting feathers.
Can you believe it? He was looking so good. The form man. He got the better of Trast. He got the better of Andrea Severi. And both with absolutely impeccable moves. But with just over 2 laps remaining, he makes the big mistake of crashing out and falling all the way down to 6.
And there's a knock-on effect as well, Jack. This doesn't help Christian either. He's gone from, what was he? It was 11 points back earlier, and now after 2 crashes from 2 separate people, he's back to 12.5 back. And picking up that extra 1.5 points really does make a difference when there's only half points available for these online rounds.
Well. Can you believe it? Trast has been pretty fortunate in this one. He's not had the pace to be any higher than 6 in the pair of them. Of our big 6, he's been the 6th best man throughout both races when you're looking at the pace. But crucially, he's not made any errors, and that can't be said, unfortunately, of Adrian, of Jack Hammer, of Piero Ricciuti. And that consistency, that ability to not make mistakes, is what makes him 3 times champion.
Yeah, it certainly is, but this man at the moment aiming to try and become a champion himself. Certainly plenty of consistency. He's been absolutely impeccable here this evening at round 3 of the Global Series. Navigated the 2A, 2B chicane safely for one final time, and then it's just a handful more corners before this man takes home a glorious double.
In towards turn 3 for the final time. The rear end squirreling around, but no such problems. He eventually gets that RC213V under control and fires it down the hill towards turn 4. This is going to be a good way of bouncing back for Christian's brother Adrian behind as well. Second place, managed to regroup after that mistake at Jerez, and Severi onto the box as well. Just keeping his championship charge going. Yet to win a race this year, let's not forget. But he has been on the podium a number of times coming into this round. 2 podium visits, and then he managed to, did he just miss out on the podium in Jerez? I think he managed to steal one, didn't he? Because he got ahead of Jack Hammer, who was battling for 4th and 5th with Trast. So another podium finish will do his championship hopes the world of good. But this is the form man of tonight. Victory in Jerez. Victory now at the Red Bull Ring. It's double for Christian. He had to wait some time for a win, and just like London buses, 2 have come at once. Brilliant stuff from the LCR man as he takes his 2nd win of the year. Adrian onto the podium in 2nd, Severi 3rd, and Trast, it's damage limitation, but he'll take that the world champion. 4th spot. Your heart has to go out for Jack Hammer. That late crash demoted him to 6th, and Piero Ricciuti can only manage 10th after throwing away a podium of his own.
So highs and lows once again in MotoGP eSport. A sigh of relief then for Trastevere as he takes home more points than he ever thought he would have been able to after looking at the running order after those first couple of laps. But there it is then, confirmation that Christian is your double winner here this evening. Round 3 starting to come on strong, 2 rounds left. Well, he might just be making a bit of a charge. His brother Adrian then, the 2020 World Champion, finishes just 1 second behind to take 2nd place. Good recovery after the first race here in Jerez. Andrea Severi, 2 podiums on the evening. Good job from Trastevere 4th. Vindex 5th. Fantastic stuff, and that man stayed out of the drama and picked up the points. Jack Hammer's 6th, he'll be frustrated. Davide Galina recovers to 7th after taking the car park route at the final corner. Tatigo 8th, another strong ride from him, and then congratulations to Yumas Jura in 9th. From Piero Ricciuti 10th, Spadalongo 11th, and Mr. T after those 2 crashes rounds us out in 12th.
Well, there was plenty of drama going on behind, but at the front of the race, no such issues for Christian as he converts pole position for victory once again. The perfect round 3 for him. 2 poles, 2 race wins, and above all, the opportunity to speak to me and you, Jack, for the 2nd time. Congratulations, Christian. How does that one feel?
Hello again. I am really happy because I did 2 victories. In this race, my strategy was start started in first position. Now in the second lap, push a lot, and then try to don't make any mistake. When I saw the Piero crash, I saw 1.5 between me and my brother, so I have to keep the gap. And for me, it's really happy this victory, because also this track I love this track. Also thanks to LCR and Honda, and also to Pro2B. And now the next round, I hope will be like here.
Yeah, I'm sure you do. I'm sure you'd love to pick up another 2 victories again. Well done, Christian. It's been a difficult year for LCR and Lucio Cecchinello, but I'm sure you've managed to put a smile on his face tonight. Well done. Great work. 2 wins for him. And in terms of the highlights, well, yeah, there we go. That was the big moment. Potentially some talk from Ricciuti that there was contact that pushed him wide, but you can see there it was all of his own doing, hitting that advertising hoarding in quite dramatic style. The bike then flying through the air. Luckily, no one else involved in it. And further back, this is what happened as well. We didn't see this during the race. Spadalongo and Tatigo was that having a coming together. This was a big one as well. Wait for it. There we go. Front end folds. Jack Hammer. We haven't seen his face yet, but I'm sure it's one with a particularly foul grimace. He won't be best pleased, will the Brits. No such problems for Christian now. Victory once again for the 2nd time tonight. Brilliant stuff from him, and he drags himself into championship contention, Jack.
Yeah, he really does. Absolutely dominated proceedings here this evening for round 3 of the Global Series. And some good performances as well. Of course, Trastevere coming back from those poor grid positions is making his way up to some good finishes. And in the terms of the championship standings, it does mean that everything has closed up slightly. But crucially, Trastevere has held on to that top spot. There you can see then, 4 points is the gap from Andrea Severi and 4.5 from Adrian.
Meanwhile, Christian came into this one 25.5 adrift. He's managed to half that and then some, 12.5 points in arrears now. Jack Hammer, a costly error by crashing out. The same for Piero Ricciuti as they drift to 21 and 22.5 adrift. Further down, Vindex 7th, Spadalongo 8th, Davide Galigni 9th, Mr. T 10th, Tatigo, our Indonesian, there in 11th, and good to see you Mastru on the boards there with 5.5 points after making his debut this evening. Well done to him. It was a solid performance to say he was here for the very first time. Right, that's pretty much all we've got time for. What an evening it's been. Drama aplenty, crashes, championship challenges up against it, and a double win for Christian. 2 years he's had to wait, and then suddenly 2 come at once.
Yeah, really finding his feet here in 2022 then. We've got 4 races left in the Global Series, and the next round will be coming up for you in just about a month's time. 2 more racetracks await us, and I'm sure that is 2 more episodes of plenty of drama as well. With the big winners this evening then being Trastevere holding on to that title lead, and then also, well, you have to talk about Andrea Severi closing the gap from 10 points down to 4 points. It's certainly going to tighten up lovely as we go on for those last 4 races.
As you said, our next round, number 4, coming up in about a month's time in September. Then join us in Valencia for the grand finale. Double points on offer where our champion will be officially crowned. Join us for those 2, but thank you very much for joining us tonight. Jack been brilliant as always, and to all the guys in our production truck doing a magnificent job to pull it all together. Enjoy the rest of your weekend.
Ciao for now.